Hello, this is Irina from Lalan Crafts, and I'm here today to show you one of the projects that I created with the January 2015 Club Lalan Crafts Club Kit. In this kit we have two stems. The theme of this month is the superhero. We have Superhero Marci, the coordinating stem set with mini Marci and sentiments, and 3 dice skyline, the set with the tab and the arrows, and the set with the birds, which can be used as the speech bubbles. The projects that I'm going to show you today is the shadow box frame, I'm going to show you how to make this frame out of the chipboard, how to cover it, and how to embellish the inside. Marci here was colored with Copic markers. I'll list the markers in the description, the list of the markers in the description of the tutorial. And she is attached to the inside of the box on the bubbler. So let's get started. First thing, you'll need to cut a piece of the chipboard to 8 by 8. And you're going to cut the same size out of black cardstock, 8 by 8. You're going to glue them together. I already did that. The next thing you're going to cut, sorry about that, you're going to cut 4 pieces from chipboard, and these pieces measure 8 by 3.5. Once you cut 4 of them, you're going to score all of them the same way. These pieces are going to be the sides of our box. You're going to score each piece in increments of 3/4 of an inch. So you're going to score 3/4, 3/4, 1.5, 2.25, at 3. So this will give you 4 panels at 3/4 of an inch, and the last panel is 1/2 inch. Also on one side, just on one side, you're going to score at 3/4 of an inch as well. This is only on one side. You can see. Once you have 4 of the pieces done like that, you're going to first cut off excess pieces to fold and to make the end of the, so to speak, box. So you're going to hold it with your smaller scored panel at 1/2 inch. And you're going to cut on the scored line up to the second horizontal scored line, like this. So you're going to cut this off. Then you're going to skip 1 square, and you're going to cut out the one in the middle. So you have it like this. After you do this, you're going to cut a little triangles, little darts off on the piece that in the middle right here. That will help us to eliminate the thickness, and it will close nicer. And then after you do this, you're going to cut off just the smidge, just the hair off on the top of both of these tabs. After you have all of your 4 pieces done like this, you're going to fold on your scored lines, and you're going to use your bone folder and give it a nice crisp fold. So what I usually do, because this is thicker material. It's a chipboard we're working with. I would go with my bone folder back and forth on one side, then I'll turn it and do the same on the other side. Now I'm going to use double-sided tape. And I'm going to put the tape on the outside tab. Right here. And then I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to put tape all the way on the smaller panel. I'm going to run it close to the fold. I'm using 1/4 inch score tape. Then I'm going to remove the backing, and I'm going to add another piece closer to the side, to the edge. Now I'm going to show you the really easy way to close this box. If you fold it on the second score line, so this is the one, the smaller panel on the second way, fold it on the second one and lay it flat like this with the tape exposed, then you fold the outside panel towards you, and this is it. So it's very easy to line up, everything comes out nice and even. This is a really easy way to do it. Then you're going to close, remove the tape here from the tab. Make sure that your box is nice and square. Move it if you need to, and close it right here. So you have this little rectangular box. Let me show you really quick one more time how to close this tab if you didn't get it from the first time. So I have this piece already pre-made, folded. I have the tape on the tab, and then I already put one piece of tape on the outside. This is on the smaller panel. I'm going to add another piece of tape closer to the edge. I'm going to fold it on the second score line. My tape is exposed right here on the top. Then fold the outside panel in, and it's done. So now I just need to close this here, square it, and close. So you'll need to have 4 of this. Just like this. Now we're going to put them onto the base. With the black cardstock facing up, you have your chipboard on the bottom, black cardstock facing up. This is how they're going to be aligned. The sides with the closed end are going to be on the outside. To give you an idea, this is how it's going to be. Then you're going to use strong adhesive. I find that liquid adhesive works the best for this step because it gives you more flexibility if you need to move things around. I'm using glue by Beacon called 3-in-1. There's another one called Fabri-Tac. It's exactly the same glue, so you can use either or. This is actually a new bottle, so I need to remove the foil from the inside and cut off the end. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put glue on one of the sides. Take your time on this and put a lot of glue because you want your construction, your shadow box to be held together. We don't want to risk for it to fall apart. And I usually do this step standing up so I can see better how I line it up, but for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna try to do my best. So you're gonna line it up on the edge and on the side, square it up, just leave it like this. And we're gonna keep on going. So the next one, now this tutorial is pretty detailed. If you feel that some parts of this are not relevant to you, you can simply fast forward. I decided not to speed it up, just to give an options for those of you who need to see more, to be able to see more. Now I'm going to add a little bit of glue right here as well on the end, because I want to connect this side to my next one. Again, line it up as even as you can. Hold these pieces together for a quick few seconds. A little too far out, so I'm gonna move it. So that's what I meant. It's nicer to work with the liquid glue for this step to get some flexibility. Moving on. And on the end. Oops, I did it on the wrong end. So this goes this way. I'm not going to worry about the other side having glue. It will dry clear and we also will cover it. So I'm going to add more here. Put it down. Line it up. Hold together for a few seconds. And to the last one. Now I'm going to add glue here, and I'm also going to add, this will connect to the one in the previous step. I'm also going to add glue on the outside here on the open side, because this is where it's going to connect to the panel number 1. Line it up. Hold together. And here's our frame. Once you do it, if you still need to move things around a little bit to adjust it, to make sure it's square, you still have time to do it because glue stays wet for a little longer. Here you go. So this is the base of our shadow box. Now I'm going to show you how to cover it with paper. The paper that I'm using is text weight paper. It's pretty thin, but it also has a lot of durability to it, and it's metallic with a little sheen and shimmer to it. Very pretty paper. The paper has a print on front side. I'm using the back side of it because I wanted my frame to have just one color, and then we're going to use embellishments or the die cuts on tone in the same color paper. This paper is from the company called Hambly, and unfortunately this company is no longer in business, but I'm going to tell you a secret. You can still find this paper. You can still purchase it at papertemptress.com on the website. They have this paper in stock in many different prints, but as I mentioned, the print's not relevant for this project because we're using the back side of it. I'll leave a link for you on the video description as well, so you can have it easily accessible. Now, we're going to cut 2 pieces at 8 by 2 5/16 and 2 pieces at 9.5 by 2 5/16. After you cut them, we're going to get our scoreboard and we're going to score. We're going to grab the longer pieces first and we're going to score them at 3/4 of an inch and then 1.5. So that will give us 2 panels at 3/4 of an inch each. Now this paper is pretty thin, so be careful not to press too hard into it. And also I found it helpful to turn the paper upside down and run my scoring tool on the other side as well. It will just help to fold easier. So I'm going to score both of them like that. 3/4 of an inch and 1.5. I'm going to flip it and run the same line on the back. You'll notice that 2 of the panels are even and the one on the side is a little bit wider. This is done to accommodate the thickness of the chipboard when we cover it. So now once you have it scored vertically, we're going to turn it and give it a few scores horizontally. Now make sure that the wider panel is on the bottom when you do that. We're going to score at 3/4 of an inch all the way on each side. And then we're going to score another 3/4 of an inch only up to the first score line. So that will be 1.5 on this side and 8 inches on this side. I'm going to do both pieces just like that. So I'm going to grab my first one at 3/4 of an inch, run all the way, and then a small score up to the first score line. So 3/4 of an inch here, and then another 3/4 of an inch just to the first line. After you score them, we're going to cut. You're going to cut the first thing you're going to cut out on the first score line up to your short vertical score. So you're going to cut this piece out and then you're going to cut the next one to the next score line. So you're going to have stairs like this. Going to do the same on the other end. And cut out the next square. And the same with the second piece. Cut out the long ones first. And then the squares. So we have 2 pieces, identical pieces like this. Then we're going to grab our shorter pieces, the ones that are 8 by 2 5/16, and we're going to score them the same way vertically at 3/4 of an inch and 1.5. And you're going to see the same thing, that 2 of the panels are the same, 3/4 of an inch each, and then the other panel, the one on the right, is a little bit wider. So I'm going to turn it so the wider panel is on the bottom, and I'm going to score just 3/4 of an inch once, and I'm going to go to the first horizontal line. So not all the way, just to the first horizontal line. Just like this. And I'm going to do the same with my next piece. Flip it. Now with the wider panel on the bottom, 3/4 of an inch, just to the first score line. Now we're going to cut out the square that you marked with your score line. And now we're going to fold from this corner here to the score line right here. You're going to make a fold to the back. So take your time, line it up, and I'm not even using the bone folder here. You can simply use your nails. We're not cutting it, we're just folding it back. The same on the other side. Like this. Cutting out the square. And folding it. Okay, so now to the fun part. We're going to cover our frame. I'm going to grab the longer pieces first. I need to fold them on my score lines, and I'm going to use the bone folder to lightly run over the fold. I'm not going to use the bone folder on the smaller tabs, just lightly pre-fold it. Now let me show you what we're going to do here. This is how it's going to wrap around. The smaller panel is going to go inside of the box, and then it's going to wrap around like so, and the corners are going to close right here. I find it easier to put adhesive onto the chipboard. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue all the way on the front of one of the sides. I'm also going to put the glue on the inside. And on the outside. Then I'm going to go ahead and start with the part that goes on the inside. Wrap this piece around and close it. I also need to put the glue, forgot to put the glue a little bit here where my tabs are gonna go. Okay, so now I can close my tabs. Gonna hold it just a little bit. And I'm going to do the opposite side. Make sure you do the opposite one. So again, I'm going to put the glue on the front. On the inside. Try not to touch the black cardstock because the glue will show there. So be a little careful when you put the glue on the inside. Then on the outside. And on the corners. I'm going to start with the inside of the box, wrap around, and close the ends. So now you have two opposite panels covered, and we're going to grab our two shorter pieces. I'm going to fold them, use my bone folder. Now it's the same concept, so the shorter piece is going to be on the inside. Then you have your corners that we folded that will create nice and mitered look to your frame. And then you have the outside. So the same way, I'm going to put the glue onto the chipboard, onto the frame. Gonna go and cover the exposed chipboard right here. I'm also going to add a little bit on the corner diagonally, because that's where our corner is going to go. I'm going to go all the way to the sides that are already covered here with the tabs. Put the glue on there. So the whole length of the frame on the outside, and then of course on the inside. Start with your shorter piece on the inside, wrap around, watch your corners, make sure that they're folded inside. Take a look at your corners on the inside of the frame. Once you put the paper on, you can use your bone folder, make sure that the paper sits in straight and even. And then we just need to finish the second side. So as I mentioned, the corners looks nice and even here. And this was a very easy way to do it, instead of trying to cut both of the pieces, the horizontal and vertical, to the same angle. So this is my easy way to do it. Again, putting the glue onto the chipboard here, on the corners diagonally, on the inside, and the outside, the whole length of it, so even covering the tabs right there. Again, I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that the paper is even in the corners. And now our frame is covered. How pretty is this? I really love how this paper looks on this project. If you can see it in real life, it's very shimmery and lustrous and just stunning. And the way we're going to finish the frame itself, we're going to use the tab from the die set, and we're going to cut it from the same paper, so it's the same color, it's tone on tone, looks very pretty. The stitching really adds to the project. I'm going to tell you another secret now. I'm full of secrets today, or a tip, whatever you want to call it. You'll need to cut 12 of the tabs for this project to embellish the frame from the blue cardstock. And also I cut 12 of them from the chipboard, so they're layered, so it has a little bit more of the thickness, adds dimension. Now the paper is pretty thin, and I found it easier to have adhesive on the back of it instead of putting the glue. So I'm going to use double-sided adhesive. It comes, instead of the tape, it comes as a piece of paper. It comes in different sizes. So this is tape, this came in 8.5 by 11, it comes in different sizes, so something wider than just the tape. And I'm going to put adhesive on the back, this is important, on the back of the paper that you're using. Also, another tip, when you're removing, it's a double-sided adhesive, right? So both of the pieces are removable from this. Remove the brown piece. It's much easier to cut into this paper, into the backing, versus cutting into the brown paper. So I'm going to put it on the back of my blue paper. And now when you cut it, make sure that your die is facing down on the paper. So the die where the blades are, where the stitches are, is facing down on the paper. So this is how you're going to cut. And you'll need to cut 12 of them. I have some of them pre-cut already. And you can see I have the tape on the back. Now this is optional. You can also do the same with the chipboard. So you can put the tape, the adhesive on the chipboard, and then cut it out with the tape as well. Now it will be a little bit more, a little harder to cut out the chipboard with another piece because it's already thick. Our dies cut chipboard like a butter, but once you add something on, you'll just have to run through your die cutting machine a few more times to make sure that it cuts through. So I would say this step is optional. So you'll need 12 of the chipboard pieces of the tab and 12 of the blue paper. So you're simply going to remove the backing and you're going to glue it on the top of the chipboard piece. And it goes by pretty quick once you die cut them all. Once you have your 12 pieces prepared, I'm just going to do 3 for the sake of the tutorial, of the time. You're going to attach them to your frame. On my frame, I line them up to the bottom edge. I start with in the middle. So you can use a ruler to find the center. This is 8 inches long. So you'll need to find 4 inches, or you can use, if your ruler has a 0 point, you can line it up so it's even on each side. So it's 4 and 4 this way, 4 and 4, and I have 0 in the middle. And then if you have adhesive on your chipboard, adhesive tape, you can remove the backing and you can line it up so the center of the bracket is on the center of the panel, just like this. And then you're going, once you have one in the center, you're going to add, trying to remove the tape, you're going to add one on each side, right next to each other. I don't have the tape on this piece of chipboard, so I'm going to use liquid glue. Just like this. And you will do the same on all four sides. Once you have the tabs on all four sides, you can use rhinestones or pearls or anything to your liking. And I added one in the corners and then between each tab, just for a little bit more bling. Now, when you have your frame done, we can start embellishing the inside. I have the piece of black and white paper. I'm going to go ahead and glue it in the center of my shadow box. The next thing, we're going to make the inside panel. This is where the die cuts and the sentiment and the Marci is displayed on. I have paper already pre-cut. I'm using paper from the paper pad by Simple Stories, and this one is called DIY Boutique. I have paper cut to 5 by 5, and the black cardstock is cut to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and glue the paper onto the cardstock. And then I'm going to start embellishing. I already pre-cut 2 of the skyline from pattern paper from the same paper pad, and I pre-cut 2 of the same skyline from the chipboard. As you can see, it cuts very nicely, really clean, but the windows, the smaller pieces, stayed inside. They didn't cut out, and which actually worked the best for this project. I'm going to glue printed paper die cuts onto the chipboard. I'm just layering it on top. And the second piece just like this. Oops. Onto the chipboard. Now I'm going to cut one of the pieces apart. I'm going to create the skyline. So I'm going to cut one building off on this side, and then I'm going to cut the next 3 buildings in between. And these are my 2 pieces right here. I'm actually going to cut off. So I cut one off on this side, then I cut at the 3rd building, and then I'm going to cut one off right here. Now before I attach them, I like lining things up for the reference. First, see how I like the scene, building it up. I'm going to use this set and cut this large speech bubble from the blue paper and the small burst from the gold paper. And I'm actually going to use these pieces as the cloud and the sun behind the buildings. So I'm going to line it up. Make sure I leave room here for Marci. And I'm going to have the sun peeking out from behind the cloud. Now when I'm happy with the alignment, I'm going to remove these pieces and start assembling. So I'm holding my cloud in place. I'm going to pick up my sun, put glue on it and tuck it back behind. Now I'm going to glue the buildings. I'm gonna move it a little bit. And the full line ones, I'm going to use foam tape. I like using tape instead of the pop-up dots because it actually gives you an option or flexibility of cutting the tape to the size that you need, thicker or thinner. Now I'm going to remove the backing from the tape. If you have any questions about the products that I'm using in this tutorial, you can always comment with the question and I'll do my best to answer. Here you go. Now the next thing, I have stamped two times the same sentiment, and this is from the mini Marci stamp set, and the sentiment reads, "She needed a hero, so that's what she became." I think it's a nice sentiment, even if you're making this project for yourself, as a reminder of us being everyday heroes dealing with this and that in our life, or if you're giving it as a gift to somebody, it's a nice encouragement sentiment. Now for my project, I cut the words apart, so that's the reason I cut two of them, so I'm not too close to the line when I'm cutting out certain words. So on one of them, I'm going to cut really close to the second line to give more space on the bottom to my first line right here. And then I'm going to cut out the words separately. So "she needed" is one part, and then "a hero" is my second part. And then from the second stem sentiment, I'm going to cut it really close to the bottom of the first words of the first line, so that gives me more space on the top. And now I'm going to cut the word "she" separate part. And now I'm going to line it up on my project. She needed a hero. Where is my hero? Oops, I'm holding it. So that's what she became. Align it to the way you like it. I'm going to use the bracket out of the chipboard on the side right here, so you can see how to align it better. You can go ahead and glue the bracket actually. And then some words are glued on and some words are popped. So I'm going to put a little piece of the pop-up tape. And again, this is what's nice about the foam, because you can cut it to the thickness that you like. So I'm going to lift one panel at a time, so I'm not losing my alignment. And then you can glue the other words. So we have this. Now I cut the arrow from the set, and again, all it has stitch on it. It adds a nice detail to the element. And this arrow I align so it points to the word hero. This. Now I'm going to attach this panel onto inside of my box. I'm using double-sided foam tape, and I like to add actually a lot to make sure that the panel is displayed nice and even. It's a pretty big panel, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to run tape. You can create a square kind of here. And then add a few pieces on the inside. If there's one way or another you like your box to be better, make sure that you position it, the front panel, so it's aligned the way you like it, and center it, and boom, right there, like this. Now, I didn't color another Marci for this project, but I want to show you. I'm going to go ahead and remove her. As I mentioned, she's attached on the wobbler, so you can go ahead and position the image where you like her. Fun. And then I used sequins, kind of the same turquoise blue color to match the color of the frame of the paper. And you can simply put a few dots of glue on the paper where you would like your sequins to go. And then you can add them for more bling and fun. for your project. Like this. Now the last thing we're going to do on this project, we're going to make an easel so you can display your shadow box frame on the table or on the shelf. For this you'll need to cut from chipboard 2 pieces that measure 7 by 4 inches. You're going to score 1 inch on the side. Now, important thing about this, let me mention, you need to have 2 pieces opposite, so they mirror each other. So you're going to score 1 on the left side, and on another piece you're going to score 1 on the right side. Hope that makes sense. So you're going to score it 1 inch, then you're going to measure 1 inch from the top, and you're going to measure 5/8 of the inch from the bottom, right here. 5/8 of the inch, and you're going to cut off this piece, and you're going to cut off this piece here from 1 inch to your 5/8 inch mark. So this is cut. You're going to make 2 of them that mirror each other, so you have 2 pieces like this. Going to use my bone folder. And you're going to glue them together with the 1 inch flaps being open. So you're going to glue it onto this angled parts, on the triangles, or they're not really triangles, but on these parts where you cut off the paper. You can use either strong glue here or double-sided tape, whatever you prefer. Going to glue them together like this. Once you glue them together, so the wider part is the bottom. This is what's going to hold your box standing up. The shorter parts here is the top. If you like to, on the shorter parts on the top right here, on your tabs, you can cut out little triangles. I like it better. I think it looks better once you attach it to the box, but this step is optional. Now we need to put it on the back of our box right here on our shadow box. Make sure you know where the bottom part is. So this is my bottom right here. I'm going to find the center. So remember, this is 8 inches, so I need to find where 4 inches is. And you can even mark it for your reference. Don't go all the way up, but just part of it, about 5 inches long. Now we're going to use double-sided tape. For this step, I find that using double-sided tape is the easiest. And I'm going to put glue, I'm sorry, not glue, the tape close to the fold, and then another piece close to the edge. And I'm going to do it on both of the tabs, close to the fold and close to the edge. Now I'm going to remove tape from one of the tabs, from one of the sides. Again, remember, this is the bottom of the box, this is the bottom of your easel. So I'm going to line it up so my fold is to my center of the box, and the bottom of the easel part is lined up with the bottom of the shadow box, like this. Then you're going to remove the tape from your other end and put it down. So here is your easel. If you like to, you can cover it with paper, you can cover the back end of it with paper. I left it as a chipboard, but as I said, you can do however you prefer. So this concludes our tutorial. Again, this project was made with products from Club La La Land Crafts, stamps and dies. If you would like more information about our club, please visit us on our website at lalalandcrafts.com. If you make projects using this tutorial, please let me know where to go and see them. You can upload them, post them on our Facebook group. You can simply search for La La Land Crafts, and we would love to see you in our group as well. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.